How's it going out there today, boys and girls in sporting land? Just want to jump in here real quick and pose a question to you guys and gals out there that a lot of people have been asking off and on as Nick Saban sort of gets close to retirement. And that is, who's going to be the next Nick Saban? Who's going to be the next guy that steps up? People always say there'll never be another Nick Saban, never be another Bear Bryant, but there always is. There's always somebody that steps up and becomes that legend of that era. Well, who's it going to be? When Nick Saban steps down, who's it going to be? A lot of people say Kirby Smart. A lot of people say Dabo Swinney because they've got a little more experience in national championships under their belt. But I'm talking guys that maybe aren't quite on your radar yet. I don't think it's going to be Kirby Smart, and I don't think it's going to be Dabo Swinney. They'll be great coaches in their own right. But I think the next Nick Saban is probably in the real deep South. Let's talk about it. Woo! Here we are again. Another great episode for those common Joes and common Sallys in the know out there. Even more so than all those media talking heads. I am JPC. This is the Outlaw of College Football. That's the OCF. And today, class, I want to talk about who's going to be that next legend. Who's going to be that guy that steps up into the spotlight, that takes over and becomes the next legendary coach of college football. Now, a lot of people, like I said in my lead up, is going to say Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney, those are the captain obvious choices. Maybe even Ryan Day if he ever wins a national championship. But there's a guy that I think that has a lot of stark similarities to Nick Saban that sort of reminds me a lot of Saban when he came to Alabama. That being Mario Cristobal of the University of Miami. The stark similarities of these guys are it's just crazy to me. They both started their career at lower tier Division 1A or FBS, whatever, CIA, FBI, whatever they want to call it these days, whatever acronym they want to shove up our ass. They both started out on the lower level. Nick Saban at Toledo, Mario Cristobal at Florida International University. I bet Florida International's feeling rather stupid now for running off Mario because he had actually taken them guys to a bowl and then he had a little mediocre season. But that's neither here nor there. The similarity's there, though. They also come and took over a once proud tradition. Alabama had fallen on slightly hard times. I mean, they weren't completely atrocious, but they were under Mike DeBose. Even though they did win an SEC title under DeBose. They weren't completely atrocious, and neither was Miami before Mario Cristobal, but they were just middling and mediocre to average. These are programs that have won multiple national championships. Alabama hadn't won one in almost 17 years. Miami hasn't won one in almost, 20 years? 21 years? About the same. Miami had 5 national championships, which is pretty high up on the national championship table. So that's another similarity. And they both have came in and went gangbusters on recruiting, which is the key to all this. We all know that. I mean, that's another captain obvious statement. But they both left major programs as well to come to the positions they're at. He left Oregon. While Oregon hadn't won a national championship, Oregon had won a couple of Pac-12 titles under Mario and went to the Rose Bowl and won the Rose Bowl. Nick Saban won a national championship at LSU, won a few SEC titles at LSU. We all know he went to Miami. That's a bit of an aberration. But he come to Alabama, And once again, there's that similarity. The recruiting is very similar to me. Alabama, in the early part of Nick Saban's career, got an Andre Smith, and A.J. McCarron, Julio Jones at key positions, offensive line, quarterback, wide receiver. Well, he's come in and done the same thing. Francis Mayagoa, I don't know if I pronounced that right, but he was the top offensive lineman in the nation, and he chose Miami over Alabama, USC, and Tennessee, among others. That was a pretty good get, just like Andre Smith was for Nick Saban. Then you had McCarron, of course, as I mentioned, was being recruited by numerous programs throughout the nation. Jaden Rashada, same thing. He was a big-time lean for Florida, and he was considering Texas A&M. He's also a native of California, so you would think USC would have been in the mix. And Jaden Rashada comes in last minute and decides to go with Mario Cristobal. And here, to me, is one of the most impressive ones that people don't talk about. He comes in after this guy's already committed, not to just a middling program, but a national championship winning program in the Clemson Tigers, and gets Nathaniel Ray Joseph to flip to Miami, a great wide receiver. This reminds me of the Julio Jones situation at Alabama. Numerous teams were coming in. A few people thought maybe LSU had the inside track on Julio Jones at first. Nick Saban comes in, and boom, he gets the guy. He didn't really flip him, but he got the guy. He got the guy that everybody wanted. And the most impressive thing about this also is the fact they did all this in an 8-day span. All these great players that they got at the University of Miami from Mario Cristobal, they did all this in an 8-day span. This is like work that you'd probably consider 6 months, maybe half a recruiting cycle kind of stuff. They also got Jaden Wayne from the state of Washington. Chose him over at Oregon, LSU, and Alabama once again. Raul Aguirre over Alabama and USC. So he is not only just recruiting and getting great recruits in his area, like some people think that he should. He's getting recruits nationwide. Now, once upon a time, the thing was, a lot of the people in Miami always thought that what people need to do is build a fence around southern Florida, like Jimmy Johnson used to preach, and Howard Schnellenberger used to preach. I think it was more Howard Schnellenberger that started that sermon, is to build a fence around South Florida and everything will be fine. Well, that might have been all right for back in the day, and while they do, yes, need to build somewhat of a fence around that area because it's still rich in talent, you still have to be nationwide in your recruiting base now. With the advent of social media, it makes it easier for you to actually reach out to these guys and get a pulse on them and see if maybe they're interested in doing something different and going somewhere different, like the Jaden Wayne kid from Washington did. I mean, the state of Washington's as far away from Miami as you can get as far as major college football, unless you got a recruit in Nome, Alaska somewhere, some kind of a 300-pound Eskimo that I don't know about. But another thing is his Legends camp that he had. He actually had a Legends camp, and he predicted that this was going to happen. So it reminds you of the Nick Saban press conference where he said that they were here to win national championships, not just conference titles. So getting these legends to come back and support his program, I think, is key because it gets the old Miami fan base back into things. They start feeling nostalgic, want to get back involved in the program, and that's another big key to getting back where you need to be, is to get the fans behind you. Another Captain Obvious statement. But Jimmy Johnson, who we all know is beloved in the Miami area, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, very famous professional wrestler and now actor, both tweeted out their big-time support for Mario Cristobal. As you know, The Rock and Mario were teammates at Miami back in the day when Miami was winning national championships. Another big key in all this is having a good AD that's loyal and is going to give you those keys to the castle and maybe help you get the boosters, those overbearing type boosters, off your back. Dan Radakovich, is that how you say his name? He was the AD at Clemson, and he came to Miami because that's his alma mater, and he wants to see this program get back to where it was. He brings in Mario Cristobal and basically gives him the keys and tells him, look, I'm going to get these boosters and all these alumni behind you, but at the same time, I'm not going to give them too much access, and they're not going to have too much power. And that's what a lot of teams like Texas, for example, it doesn't matter how good a coach that you get, if you don't get these boosters, keep them from meddling in the program, then you're never going to succeed, because the coach has to make it his program across the board. There can't be any kind of meddling. I'm not saying that we don't have to reward these guys because they're giving you big money and you need that money for your program to succeed. I'm just saying don't give them too much access. Don't let them abuse their power. Give them a suite, give them a nice little air-conditioned box in the stadium while the rest of us sit down there and sweat like stuck pigs, or while we're eating bad hot dogs and whatnot. Let him sit up there in that nice air-conditioned box and give him some perks. But a lot of them boosters aren't just satisfied with that. They want to come in and actually coach the team or tell the coach who to start and all that crap. You got to cut that out, man. And I think that's what Miami has done. They've brought in the right boosters that want to donate and help with the program financially, but at the same time, they know their place and they know that they have a certain role. And they don't overstep their boundaries. And you got to have an AD like Dan and like Mal Moore was at Alabama that have some pull with the alumni because they graduated from there. And at the same time, they want to be able to let this coach have full reign and the keys to the castle so this program can succeed. And I think all these things together just says that Mario Cristobal, with his support and the way he's recruiting, he could very well be the next Nick Saban. He also has a strong staff. He brought in Charlie Strong, Kevin Steele. He's got the Royals' top assistant award winner from last year, Josh Gaddis, coming back. He's also got NFL Hall of Famers Ed Reed and Jason Taylor on the staff, which I didn't know. I guess they're doing some kind of analyst role. All that's great, man. All that's good stuff that recruits see. And they see these legendary guys in your program that are invested in putting their hands in there and getting dirty with the rest of you. They want to be a part of that. They want to be a part of something great. Something that they can call their own. And I think that Mario Cristobal is doing a great job with getting people to show ownership in the University of Miami program. And that's all I got to say about that. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Also, if you don't mind, if you look up underneath this video, there's a little heart option down there by the like and share options and the download option. Click on that. Throw a few dollars in the coffers. Get off the YouTube teat. And KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now dismissed.